And hello there, good morning to you. My name is Laban Cliff. We're taking up from Dibala from this time, just talking matters to do with land investment. And we're looking at just a decision to look into where do you actually place your investment in land and what exactly do you use your land for. I have an exciting panel with me right here in a studio from Wealthsmith, and of course a financial coach and a client who's actually managed to buy his property directly from Wealthsmith, just to kind of get a feel from them on where this land property market is going on in Kenya. So on my far left, allow me to introduce to you Amos Kanya, who's also been a client with Wealthsmith. Next to him, we have Marshall Mutei, who's also a sales manager at Wealthsmith. And next to Marshall, we have Harriet Kuria, who's also a team leader from Wealthsmith. And next to me right here is Amos Ngahu, who's a financial coach. Amos Ngahu, I should say. Yes. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm just going to straight right to it, because we're going to have this as a very interactive session today. And the question we're asking is land investment a viable investment, or should I say the best way of making money in the country right now? So is land investment a viable investment and the best way of making money in the country right now? You should see that question right on your screens right now. Is it the best channel of making money? Tweeters, check, of course, interact with us through our social media platforms, and we'll be sure to sample your views within this broadcast. All right, let me just start with the client himself. So Evans, walk us through. You managed to actually go into what many Kenyans are looking to buy. How was your experience?
Okay, my experience was this. This is how in the first place I got to know about Wealthsmith. There was an expo at the KICC where I happened to meet staff from the Wealthsmith. They introduced me to the Wealthsmith, and they told me that they have a variety of land that they were selling. They were selling land at Kitengela Greens. They were having some other lands at Kisaju. Then they were having some other lands at Nanyuki, which was Kilimopoa.
Just by the time you're going into KICC and you're looking towards the exhibition, let me get it. Maybe Harriet, this was the day when you were voted one of the best stands at KICC, I believe. Yeah. But let's look at, but even by the time you're walking in, you already had a budget, you already had an idea of what exactly you want to invest in. You could give us an approximate figure of how much you're looking towards, and what was your intention into using the land for?
I had a budget of around 500,000 shillings. That was my budget for buying a plot. And when I went there, they introduced me to a variety of plots that they were having, because they were having some at Kitengela Greens, others at Kisaju, and others at Nanyuki, which were the Kilimopoa. Yeah.
Let me come to you, Amos, before I ask the Wealthsmith to just come in. Yeah. So, and it's a perfect example of what people actually think about every single day when they want to go in. So yes, you have 500,000 shillings, as it says, and you're looking towards where exactly do you put in your money. What will lead you into kind of deciding that land is a way to go?
Well, when you look at the current status of real estate, you find that even that 500,000, you're going to a homes expo because you're thinking the places you've seen are quite expensive, so you're looking for options. So if you have 500,000, you're trying to see where, first of all, where can I afford? You're looking for location, and after that, you don't want to buy a land that is you've locked your money for a while until probably a bypass comes by. So people are looking for, if I buy that land, probably I'm on a loan. How can I recover my money? So I'm looking at my return on investment, the quickest way to come out of the debt that I've found myself in when I'm purchasing this particular asset, and how soon I can clear it and also make some capital gains. So I think those are some of the two major considerations that people are looking for.
Do you have clients who come to you and perhaps ask, is it Nanyuki, is it Kisaju, is it Ngong, is it Kitengela? Our areas, for instance, where they can be able to just cash in and just make their money really quick?
That's a question I receive every day, because think an average Kenyan, let's say they're earning 50,000, and let's say they're in a savings society somewhere, they will have access to a tune of between 300 and 700. And here in Nairobi, by the time you get land worth 700,000, you'll have to go to the outskirts completely. So they will say, if I go to Nanyuki, what advantage do I have over someone who bought in Kitengela? You understand? So they are looking for that kind of a return. So they are looking for options. If I buy in Nanyuki, if I buy in Kajiado, what are my gains? That's what they look for. Yes.
All right. Marshall, I'm coming to you. And of course, we'll be able to just see just a few clips of some of the work that you do and, the clients you manage to also take directly to actually view the land. But just take us through. You have people like Evans who just walk up to you and, they have this money and they're looking towards investment. If you could just do like a mock introduction of how you'd actually, talk to them about Wealthsmith and what you'd actually have.
All right. Thank you very much, Laban. So basically, maybe I can just touch on what and who Wealthsmith is. Wealthsmith is basically your strategic investment partner. For example, as Mr. Evans Kanya visited our stand, we were able to actually know how much exactly he wanted to spend and what exactly would be the best product for him for that particular instance. So our mission since 2014, when we formed the company, was to create wealth through selling property, for agribusiness, for speculation, for development, for all purposes. And for this instance, for Mr. Evans, we realized that he'd be best to actually get a piece of land, not build immediately. Of course, if you look at the budget we're looking at is 500,000. So basically we're talking about let's have a piece of land and let's have it generate some income before you decide to do something with that piece of land, be it selling it, be it building a house, depending on what you wish to do with it. So Mr. Evans actually got to get one of our properties, which is the Foothills Nanyuki, which is an amazing property, amazing.
Well, what is amazing?
What is amazing?
What is amazing
If I start talking about Nanyuki, it's going to take me like hours because it's every bit
No, but
of
let's
it.
look at, of course, they're the key elements that your clients would ask you for. Is
key
it proximity to the road? Is it accessibility? Is it serviced properties? What are they?
So basically, the proximity to Nanyuki town, it's really close to Nanyuki town, and the developments around the area as well. We're located right next to all the prominent investors, all the high net worth investors in Nanyuki. I'm sure you've heard about the growth of Nanyuki as well. Initially, there was only one mall, which was the Nakumatt Mall. Currently, there's the Cedar Mall, which is basically a few kilometers from where we are as well. We're right next to the All Pejeta Conservancy. We're also right next to where one of the biggest investors actually in Nairobi. I believe you know about the Two Rivers Mall. We're right next to the biggest investors. I mean, they have a really huge piece of land. And we're actually just right next to them.
And what does that mean? And especially looking at it future forward, because some will say, okay, but I don't want quite to be very close to them. Perhaps if I'm going into agribusiness, I just want you to now to tie that into, that what also clients will look towards. Is it now speculation? Is it perhaps they're looking towards, okay, let's see what they're going to build and then I can be able to know what I can do with my piece of land?
Okay, so I believe I'd talk about land banking in that case. So once you buy this piece of land in Nanyuki, if you're buying for speculation, basically we're talking about maybe 5 years or 10 years for you to decide what you want to do with the piece of land. So between the 5 years and 10 years, why buy the land and leave it idle? That's where the agribusiness comes in. So basically you buy the land, you purchase the greenhouse as well, then we manage it for you from end to end and basically generates for you returns up to 400,000 per year.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's amazing.
Harriet, bring in your lady charm here because I'm not sure Marshall is convincing me enough. So why should I invest? And I mean, just going by your name, Wealthsmith. So how do I hope to recoup my investment even and after how long?
Thank you very much.
All right.
The idea is to allow everyone from all scopes of the world to be able to earn or get a piece of land. We're actually a bridge where we give you that dream, that opportunity to be able to come. When you come to Wealthsmith, you will tell us, this is how much I can afford and this is how much I have. We're able to be flexible and adjust
put it into just other different areas of investment?
Well, Laban, that totally depends with an individual, because people, you cannot have a one solution done for everyone. So every individual has to be, their solutions have to be tailor-made. And that's why I like the tagline for Wealthsmith, because they say it's a story of wealth. So they are going to rewrite your story. Whether you had idle land that you inherited and you keep giving it to your children and it's becoming smaller and smaller, what value addition can you put? Probably you're a young entrepreneur and you're thinking, do I have 2 million? Where can I buy land? Or what can I do with this money? So approaching elections, I don't think really it affects, other than if you have that fear of clashes, you know, like the previous time where people lost property.
We really hope that will not be the case this year.
Yes, but the fear is still there. So you find people probably how it may affect them. They may not go to certain locations, but that really doesn't stop the investment in Kenya. Remember, we always have new demands every year of 200,000 new needs for homes in Kenya. So I think it's still a viable investment, but done right, and within your own setup.
If you just look at the risk profiles, because it's all about risk and what have you. So is it that the young are investing more and the old are investing less, sort of thing?
Well, it depends, because some of the people, the older people that we have now, they already have this property. They're looking at how can they capitalize on them. And then you look at the youth. We must appreciate that the youth are really coming up, but they're thinking, how now can I purchase this? So it's expensive for the youth, but it's cheaper for the older to acquire. But again, it's more easier to develop as a young person than when you're older, because you access to technology.
Marshall Evans, it's over to you. I still want the mock kind of a sales speech, so what you'd actually go through if you're having an exhibition at KICC. So imagine this, Evans has walked up to you with that $500,000. What are you going to ask him? What are some of the questions you're going to throw at him to make sure that you can, convert him to being your client from just being, a first-time or a one-time visitor? Go ahead, for both of you.
Good morning, Mr. Evans.
Good morning, Mr. Marshall.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
All right, glad to see you looking great.
Glad to see you too.
Thank you very much for visiting our stand. So basically, I can take you through our products. So Wealthsmith is basically a strategic investment partner.
Okay.
And I'd like to create to you a story of wealth. I don't know what exactly you'd like to be purchasing this piece of land for. Would you like to build a house? Do you want to maybe earn some returns? Do you want to buy the land just to sit on it, or what exactly?
I want to buy the land, then I get some returns.
Okay.
Over a period of time.
Over a period of time.
Yes.
What budget are we looking at here?
I had a budget of 500,000 shillings, but you can actually advise me about buying the plot and then about buying the greenhouse.
Okay.
Investing in the plot and then investing in the greenhouse.
Okay. I hope you're also comfortable with having land in Nanyuki.
Yes.
An amazing place.
Yes.
So this property that I want to tell you about, I don't know if you're familiar with Nanyuki. Are you familiar with Nanyuki?
No, I'm not familiar with Nanyuki.
All right. So in Nanyuki is actually a very fast-growing town, and we have really many banks going in that area. I don't know if you've ever seen the Mount Kenya. An amazing view. We have an amazing view of the mountain from our property, and I want to sell to you a piece of land that is actually going for much less than what you budgeted for, which is basically as well 300,000. But since you've talked about the agribusiness, if you don't mind stretching just a little bit, getting to 320,000 more, let's make it 620,000. I'd be more than glad to give you 400,000 in returns, 3 years consecutively. How does that sound to you?
Sounds nice.
All right.
Sounds very nice.
All right. So what we can do is we do conduct site visits each and every weekend. In fact, this coming Saturday, we actually have an open day. We'll be issuing titles and some of the checks. I don't know if you'll be available for this weekend.
I'll be available for this weekend.
Okay. Well, I'll be very honest with you, Mr. Evans. These plots are actually running out. They're flying off the shelf real quick. And I'd actually advise you to just secure that plot with just a booking fee of basically 50,000. We'll have a sale agreement once you're done with that. I'll give you a receipt as well. Then upon your completion of payment for the same land, I'll basically be issuing you the title deed within 4 weeks. Then thereafter, of course, you'll clear off for the greenhouse and we can kick off the project. In the first 6 months, after managing this greenhouse for you, I guarantee you returns of 200,000, which is basically the first season. And after the second season, another 6 months, I'll be giving another 200,000. I mean, what would you do with 200,000 if I give it to you right now?
200,000. Okay, I'll go to my rural area, buy some cows, put them there, and then maybe they can even generate for me some income.
I believe that we need to make this dream a reality. What do you think, Harriet?
I do.
Thank you very much, Mr. Evans.
Oh,
Welcome
great.
to Wealthsmith.
Marshall, thank you very much. And Harriet, okay, now I can see how you managed to really convince a lot of your clients into that. Amos, what do you think about that pitch?
Well, I think he took time to, first of all, find out, and which is very key, what the client is looking for. Their budget. You know, affordability is key. You realize that today you talk to a Kenyan outside here. I mean, have you thought of buying land? They're thinking in terms of millions. But here you've told him, I mean, with 600,000, you can be able to access 200,000. And remember, here, this is a client who's thinking, I just don't want my money lying. You know, you don't want to continue with that habit of buying land and it's staying idle.
But the budget was 500. He was trying to convince him to get more, to just get more money out of him.
It's normally plus or minus.
All right.
It's normally plus and minus. And again, you're looking at some of the common needs. You know, those annual budgets. Let's say you have a school fees budget. 200,000, I'm sure if he has 2 children in high school, he's able to cater for the school fees. So I think it's a product, and that's why I still insist that rewriting the story of wealth for a client is quite important. Because for me, I normally say without your story, money is useless.
Wow.
You have to attach a story to your money.
Great. And Harriet, is it that easy? Like, would you, because I'm looking towards, and especially I can imagine Evans, maybe source of financing, maybe you've walked into a bank and you've actually gotten a loan out of it, you know, and then now you'd actually convince him to buy with you, and then next thing you know it, you have a check from him. Is it that easy?
Easy? Nothing is easy. But it's also a journey. It is an experience. It's something that we come together and partner together because we want to achieve a certain thing for our client. For Evans, he came and told us, this is what I have. And we assured him that we're going to make him, we're going to get him there. We're going to make him achieve that dream. And that's what we do here at Wealthsmith.
Right. Great. And Evans, I was happy that you actually were very sincere and you say, I actually don't know about Nyanyuki, which is quite good. And I'm happy to join you over the weekend, maybe even just take a drive with you there. But still, why? Because you mentioned about being a property or being an area or being an environment where people would want to actually go into. What of other regions in the country? And I'm just looking at rushing into where everyone is going into. You know, people will just say, okay, well, the Nyanyuki is where you can cash in, and that's where exactly you get better value for money. But I'm looking towards other areas or other opportunities or other uncharted waters, I would say, in the country.
Okay, nice question. So when it comes to this property, of course, as you've heard, I have to really know the main reason why you're buying this piece of land. If you wish to buy the piece of land maybe for housing, you want to build a house like immediately, we have something else, which is basically in Kisaju. It's basically more of affordable housing. We have so many, we all pay rent, most of us actually pay rent, and it actually gets to your neck at times. So we have Kisaju Gardens, whereby you buy the piece of land, and we have very flexible payment terms that actually stretch to up to 2 years. And the best thing about it is also, as you talked about the diaspora a bit, you can actually pay off, you can actually be paying directly to the Wealthsmith for them to construct that house for you. Basically, that's hassle-free for you. So depending on what exactly you're buying the land for.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me just sample a few of your tweets right now, and guests coming in thinking first. Steven says that if you have a genuine one land, that's the best investment you can make that doesn't depreciate over the years, especially when a value is added. Daniel Masi says that land investment has always been a viable way of making money. What people lack is proper information, like we're getting now from the show. All right. So kind of making sure that we actually moving to a call to action, which is information. But I want to just touch a bit on that, Marshall, which is actually very true. People don't quite get this often, and what you'd actually see maybe on SMS forwards or on emails perhaps are either fakes. So the information is never out there. If you're buying land, yes, what's the source of financing? How do you even approach the lawyers? How do you, the paperwork, you know, just the entire process behind it, because the deal might be too good, but the process might just be too frightening.
Okay, so here we're basically talking about how genuine this property is for start. The minute you know which property it is that you'd like to purchase, I normally advise you to get your lawyer to do your due diligence for you. You need to know the person who's selling this land to you, what the land was, the use of the land, because you might be actually buying an agricultural land and you want to build a house on it. So you actually need to do the change of user and such. So there's basically the due diligence part of it that you need to go through from the start.
Is it an added facility with Wealthsmith that, Harriet, perhaps you want to join into this? Like, you'd offer your clients, like, hey, if we give you this property for 500, I'm just using Evans' example, is that we can, add extra benefits.
Yes, definitely. All our prices have our legal fees intact. We do the work for you at Wealthsmith. We are, as I keep on saying, we are partnering together. We want to develop a trust relationship where when you give us that 500,000, we're able to do the search for you. We're able to process the title deed for you. And yeah, it's all in the same place.
All right,
Yes.
great. Evans, you want to buy cows after land. So what I'm getting from you is that it was purely, land banking and then cash out, move on.
Yeah.
Is it something that you're looking to do? Or just want to get a kind of a brief assessment from Kenya, so Evans, take us through.
I wanted something that will generate me income. So the reason why I choose to buy Kilimo Poa at Nanyuki, it is because I was convinced that when I buy this land, because my budget was around 500,000 shillings, so I was told there is a flexible payment period of time which will be 3 months. So I was told to top up around 120,000 shillings to be 620,000 shillings, apart from my budget which I had 500,000 shillings. So that will be around 620,000 shillings. The 300,000 shillings for the plot and 320,000 shillings for the greenhouse. Then I was told the first 1 year I'll get returns for the 400,000 shillings. For the second year, the returns for 400,000 shillings. Then for the third year, the returns for 400,000 shillings. So that will be, in a span of 3 years, I will get 1.2 million. So the first 1 year, the first 6 months, I was supposed to get a check of 200,000 shillings, and the other 6 months for the first year to get a check of 200,000 shillings.
Wow, well calculated, Evans. What do you do on a day-to-day, if I may ask you? What do you do? As an you're an entrepreneur, you're a businessman, or you're employed, or what do you do?
I'm a businessman.
You're a businessman. Clearly,
Yes.
with the numbers, you can actually tell. With the numbers, you can actually tell that.
Yeah.
Because, Marshall, if I'm right, your investment, especially in agribusiness and in greenhouse, perhaps is targeted to, I would say, the employed. Because not always would you find people who have that weekend to just dash out to the farm and just see how the produce is doing. But, for Evans, a unique case. He's a businessman, but he has all his math laid out.
Yes, so it's actually for the businessman, the employed, it's for everyone. The challenge we have with farming today is telephone farming. And I can guarantee you 80% of the people in farming today are probably doing telephone farming.
What's telephone farming?
Telephone
It's
farming.
like basically call your shamba boy.
Exactly.
How are the cows today?
How are the cows doing?
Yeah.
How are the crops doing? And you
Okay.
see, you can't really know what exactly is going on the ground itself. Once you hear that the tomatoes did not give us the best yield, you're not so sure what happened on that piece of land. But you see, when you're banking with Wealthsmith and this agribusiness concept, you just sit back. If you're at work, you just sit back, wait for the 6 months, wait for your 200,000 without any hassle free. You get your full returns.
Yeah. All right, we're coming to you, Harriet, just briefly, but I'm told Abdi, we have one of our callers on the line. Abdi is going to be your first caller. Abdi, if you can hear me, pose your question to the panel.
Hello.
Good morning, Abdi. Go ahead.
Habari ndugu yangu.
Salama sana. Abdi, Abdi, do you have a question?
Habari ndugu yangu.
Salama sana. Unaweza kuuliza swali kwa wageni wetu kwa siku ya leo?
I'm calling from here. Naitwa Abdi, alafu sisi tuko na wanyama wengi hapa.
Aha.
Niko na livestock wengi pande hii na kiangazi kimezidi sana. Hello.
Naendelea Abdi, tukusikiza.
Nasema kuna kiangazi mingi huko kwetu sehemu za Garissa. Na sijui namna gani kuhusiana na hiyo maneno. Ndio angalau tupate hawa wanyama zetu, ndio income yetu na nyingi zinakufa, tunaweza pata namna gani ndio kusaidika kwenye hiyo mpango hiyo.
Asante Abdi. All right. Asante Abdi. Shukran. I think Marshall is going to take up on that. Perhaps you need a lot more of greenhouses in Garissa. A challenge to you. Grace, if you can answer your question to the panel, please.
Hello?
Hello, Grace. Go right ahead. We can hear you.
Hi. Good morning, brother.
Good morning to you. Very well, Grace. Can you just go ahead? Your question to the panel, please.
Yes. My name is Mondo from Mombasa.
Yes.
And I'm calling just to give my contribution to get Wealthsmith.
Go ahead.
I've actually got some plots with them at Nyuki.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I would give this guy. I have worked with quite a lot of sellers.
Mm-hmm.
And some are not forthcoming with information.
All right, Grace. Apologies. We seem to have problems with your line right now, but we're going to call you back briefly. But in the meantime, let's just have a quick word from Janet. Janet, if you can hear us, go right ahead.
My question is...
yes, please.
How can I get the Wealthsmith group if I'm interested in purchasing a piece of land?
Yes.
And then my number 2 is what crops do they grow in this agribusiness? Is it, let's say, tomatoes, cabbages? I'm interested to know what crops they grow. Then my last question is, let's say my budget is 500,000. Mm-hmm. Are there any other hidden costs? Or again, what is the first installment and how long can I pay the other balance?
Janet, where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Embakasi.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you, Janet. All right. So, Abdi in Garissa says, hey, kuna kiangazi mingi sana Garissa. Tungetaka pia muone jinsi ambavyo mnaweza kutusaidia. Lakini I know that is basically perhaps instigated when you mentioned about greenhouse farming, people cashing in on agribusiness. Grace, we could not quite hear her clearly. But Grace, you're back online, I'm told.
How are you?
Very well. Go right ahead. Sorry, we couldn't hear you earlier.
No problem. Now, I'm calling from Mombasa.
Yes, please.
I have recently interacted with Wealthsmith in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I have bought a plot from them actually as a group at Foothills District. So I would say, at least I know, we have a lot of land sellers outside here who are not very honest and very forthcoming with information. But with Wealthsmith, I have had a totally different experience. Mm-hmm. And I'm a happy customer. I'm expecting to be getting the charitable status this Saturday. Mm-hmm. Maybe Marshall will confirm.
Yes.
Then, yeah. So they are a credible company, and I look forward to buying from them in the future.
Oh, stamp of approval. Just let me get, you're living in Mombasa and investing in Foothills. Foothills, what was that? Is it Nanyuki?
In Nanyuki.
Nanyuki. All right. So,
I live in Mombasa.
Yes.
My home is in Mary.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very easy for me to pick Nanyuki.
All right, makes sense. All right, thank you very much. A stamp of approval there from Grace. But very quickly, I mean, so you have on one end, trusted source. You're the go-to, property buyers and property kind of investment partners. But now there's just an issue that are being challenging you. How about other areas? Same question I raised earlier. I don't know if Janet or Marshall want to get into that. Perhaps even in Garissa.
Okay, about Garissa. As Wealthsmith, we're really expanding. Of course, we started off with the Kajiado area. We moved to the Laikipia area. So as we go on, we'll definitely get to that point where we'll also be having land in all parts of the area in Kenya. So we'll be getting there.
Amos, will such an investment also be a bit risky? Because I know back of his mind is wondering, oh my goodness, but I'm not quite sure about Garissa and the agricultural productivity of Garissa. But I'm just looking at other innovative ways of saving using land that is in semi-arid areas.
Well, I think they're on track. Going countrywide, I may not be so sure. But one thing I'm sure is, you see, like when we see a client saying that I started somewhere, mm-hmm. I've met many clients who tell you, I have this piece of land somewhere, mm-hmm. but it's not giving me anything. Mm-hmm. So if you start from point A, I'm starting, I have a budget of 200,000, 300,000. Mm-hmm. If they can offer that then they're heading places. Because remember, everybody wants to own something. The purpose of investing is to grow my balance sheet. Basically, owe people less and own more. So if I am growing that, let's say like I get my 200,000, I have come out of debt. So meaning I owe people less and I'm growing my balance sheet. If they can be able to help me get that, then they will always be having satisfied clients who are asking, I have finished this one, so what next?
Okay.
And going back to Garissa, I was consulting for a certain company in Kajiado, and you realize that people are okay traveling for 17 kilometers looking for water.
Look at Janet. I mean, honestly, she's in Mombasa and still would actually, no, actually, that was great.
Yes.
You know, being in Mombasa and still take a risk in Nanyuki.
Exactly, because she has her problem. You know, there are several problems that come in real estate. One of them is management. You know, I thought telefarming is the business of rearing phones. But I'm thinking that at that cost, have you ever had probably you have a shamba somewhere and you have a shamba boy? They ask you for fertilizer. The next thing they're asking you, hey, I need a new panga. This one has broken. You know, those small expenses that you can't manage from where you are. Wealthsmith has actually made it easy. All you're doing is sitting back and waiting for the money. So if they can give those solutions, then I think it's a whole wide market for them.
All right. Harriet, sorry to put you on the spot, but, well, you're the only lady on the panel, so affirmative action. So information on where to get, a lot of information on where to get, you know, land kind of prospects or kind of other opportunities you have. That's a question from Janet, calling from Embakasi. What are some of the crops you're growing in this greenhouse? And in that 500K, are there other hidden costs?
Okay, for information, thank you very much. Information, we have our website. Of course, if you go to our website, Wealthsmith Limited, or you can Google us, you'll always find information about us. As for our greenhouse, you see, when you come on board, you'll sign a contract with us. We are the ones who are going to look for a market for you. That's what makes us different. What makes this concept different is that we get to sell your produce on your behalf. You don't have, as Marshall said, it's hassle-free. Where the biggest challenge we've always had over time is to look for market, but us guys worked the other way around, where we got the market first, and we went and actually got to what we're going to do on the greenhouse. So for now, we're going to do capsicum and tomatoes, but it will change over the time because of the dynamics of the market. As for the 500,000, it's actually 620. The property is 300,000, and the greenhouse is going for 320. So it's 620,000.
Okay.
Yes.
Just get an overview. All right. So please keep your questions coming through with the hashtag AMLiveTV, NTV, I beg your pardon, and at NTV Kenya and at Laban Cliff. I'll be able to just sample some of your questions to the panel as we get to the tail end of this. What my director is going to play for you is just a few of the clips by Wealthsmith. You can see there some of the investments they're having across board, and you know, tractors even tilling the land, and just in different areas of Nairobi, and they seem to have a kind of very good feel of Nanyuki as one of the main areas of investments, and that's kind of a site tour, I'm told. And is it that everyone gets a hat every time they come and visit? Oh, okay, all right. So there you have it. You can see the investment there on different areas the Wealthsmith is engaged in. And I just want to talk about that accessibility, and you know, there's that whole piping and a lot of infrastructure around it. Because many people will buy land, it's just be all bare. So by the time you're selling, have you already given that facilities like, you know, piped water, access roads, and what have you?
Okay, so maybe I can just touch on what you're actually seeing. So basically, that's Foothills Nanyuki. That's the Kilimo Power project. Initially, Nanyuki started off with residential pieces, whereby we have our phase 1 and phase 2, which was purely residential. It got sold out really quick because of the location of the area, amazing place. So we realized over the year, it's basically a year now, and we realized that not so many people who bought a residential piece had done anything on the piece of land. So we only could come up with something, with a solution of what exactly you can do with a piece of land moving forward. So that's why we came up with the Kilimo Power project. Currently, if you go to that site, if you go on ground, we have the piping of the whole area, the drip system, we have the 2 boreholes on site, we have a dam, we have the fencing of the whole area, we have the beacons, we have the access roads. The list is endless.
So, are you all taking this up as Wealthsmith, or are you partnering with also other organizations to make this happen?
So what happens, if you, let me just talk about the residential bit. If you buy into a residential bit, which is basically just the plot, which is basically 300,000, this plot comes along with, of course, all the legal fees and everything. And it comes along with access to your specific plot. It comes along with the beacons to your specific plot as well. There's a very nice gate for getting into that specific area as well, and the fence of the whole area. So for the agribusiness bit, the 320,000 comes in, whereby we've partnered with a different agribusiness company. That's when they come in and do all the piping, all the boreholes and everything else. So there's no extra charge that you'll be incurring for that first year.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Evans, I want to know what is the status of your current plot right now. Are you happy with it? And what next? Are you hoping to dispose it off? And for how much would you dispose it off for?
I am very happy with my plot because this coming Saturday, I'll get my first check of the 200,000 shillings. Then I'll wait for the other 6 months to get the other 200,000 shillings. Then after 3 years, when I get my returns for the 1.2 million, I would like to put up a house there in that plot because the area will have grown. There are so many things coming up. There are schools, people are building houses. So I'll go there after 3 years and I build a house there, a very nice house to live there with my family.
Oh, amazing. Talk to somebody, I think, who's just in your position right now, maybe perhaps thinking around the same areas where now I have this amount of money I'd like to invest in and I'm completely confused.
Amount of money?
Yes, they have the similar amount of money with what you invested and they're just looking towards investment, but they don't know how to just go about it. What would you tell them?
I would tell them the land in Nachuki is very nice and is very prime. So if you have close to 620,000 shillings, instead of keeping the money in the bank, to just buy a plot, the plot is 300,000 shillings and the greenhouse is 320,000 shillings. So that comes close to 620,000 shillings. And the reason why, my budget was 500,000 shillings, then they told me if you have 120,000 shillings to top up, we will give you a flexibility period of time of 3 months to pay the money. So I topped up 120,000 shillings, but I spread it, the whole money, into 3 months. So the flexibility period of time of the 90 days that they gave me, that motivated me to buy the greenhouse.
Thank you, Evans. I mean, this amount, we're talking about hundreds of thousands. Not many Kenyans will just come by this money just on a day-to-day. What are some of what was kind of the advice or investment avenues or source of funding that you'd actually advise prospective clients to go for in land banking?
And let me first of all address the younger generation. Probably you're on your first job. Start with basic savings. Start somewhere, start in a circle. If you're working with an employer who can give you a facility on a good rate, just take it. Because at the end of the day, if you look at a balance sheet of someone who's below 35, very few of them have like solid assets, very few of them. So if you can be able to acquire them early and start small, start with 300,000. If you can't afford the greenhouse, wait until you can afford, buy it. So that over time, by the time, let's say you started working at 25, by the time you're 30, you already have some of these assets. And let's say you are advanced, let's say you are now above 35, and we know the old story, you have 2 or 3 plots somewhere deep in Kitengela. So how can you transfer that into an asset generating? You can actually sell some of that to fund other better generating income assets. So you can actually do what I call property transfer for a better return. So you can actually either sell what you have or just get into a small affordable loan over time, then you clear it.
There's this whole issue about coming together. I see that a lot, especially in the UK, and of course they're having the elections this year.
Yes.
Because property prices are quite expensive. But we'll just come together and partner and kind of go into a project as one.
Yes.
That doesn't seem to happen to be the case in Kenya.
Well, it's because of trust issues, and we've seen that a lot.
Kenyans don't trust.
They don't trust each other, or they don't have measures to hold each other accountable. So we are saying we are going into partnership, but we are using our IDs. We have not registered a business, knowing that you own 50%, I own 50%. So it's important for us to say, if we are partnering, let us have the structures that actually hold us accountable, because it's a source of funding. If you can afford 100,000, I can, Harriet can, then we first of all purchase. In another month we buy. And we can have a project that in the next 12 months, each one of us will be having, because we can afford to save 100,000 after every 3 months.
All right.
Yes.
Harriet, do you agree?
Yes, I agree.
So you're starting off.
All right, great. We're coming to the tail end of this discussions, and I know there'll still be many questions with Kenyans will raise up, and especially just talking about a legal requirement. I know we would have Scholar on the panel today, but just really quickly, if Kenya cannot even just go in and just meet a lawyer or kind of draft those documents, what are some of the other options that you give, Harriet, into other facilities also, as you give your closing remarks?
If Kenya's cannot afford a lawyer?
Yes, cannot afford
We have
a
a legal department,
Okay.
a very able legal department in Wealthsmith. When you come, even when you get your sale agreement, you have questions, you always have a legal team that always assists you in going step by step. If you have questions before you purchase the land, we also handle you that way. I mean, we are a very trustworthy company. So if you have questions, you come to our office. Our offices are in the Electricity House, 13th floor, Harambee Avenue. Yes.
All right, very well. Your final remarks, sir. I don't. I would hate to stop you because I know this weekend you're giving out checks, and I hope to be among those in the queue. But anyway, I know, Marshall, it'll be quite interesting for people to know that how do I cash in? After 3 years, make your money, get out, 6 months, 200,000. It seems like a dream, but make it a reality for us.
We'll make it a reality. All I'd like you to do, I believe there's so many people who actually like to be part of this event. They'd like to join us on Saturday. They'd like to maybe secure a plot before it's sold out. All you need to do is just text your name to 40144. 40144. Just text your name. And one of our relationship managers will basically get in touch with you, take you through the whole process of the product. And if you wish to visit us, as Harriet has just mentioned, our office is at Electricity House, 13th floor.